we're being recorded now, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Is Miller on board here? Has she dropped in yet?
I don't see her.
All right. Okay. All right. Well, Carrie, we appreciate your doing this, doing a do-over on this a lot, taking the time out a second time to help everybody out. So we'll go ahead and we test this out. She's in her classroom, so we should be ready to rock and roll on this one. So I appreciate it, and we'll go ahead and get going on the SeeSaw. So Carrie, if you want to start up, you can share your screen at any time.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and share the link to the slides that I created first. So if you don't have those already, you can open those up and refer to them later. And last time it didn't go so good, so thank you guys for joining me again and bearing with me. Hopefully you can interrupt me now if you can't hear me. So I'm going to present the slides and just kind of go over what SeeSaw is and what you can do with it. And stop me at any point and we can kind of talk about what I'm going over. So I'm going to share my screen. Can you all see my slides? I hope so.
They're coming up right now.
Okay. Okay. So Mark, will you let me know if you can see them and still hear me?
All right.
All right, perfect.
There yet. Can you guys see it? Okay, thumbs up if you can see it.
Yep, you're good, Carrie.
Okay, perfect. So I can't see you guys or see the chat because I'm in like full-on presentation, so it's nice and big for you to be able to read. So just go ahead and interrupt me and I can stop whenever. So SeeSaw, a lot of people asked what it was even, so I found on their site, it's just called a platform for student engagement that inspires students of all ages to their best, and it saves teachers time. And as teachers, we can find activities to share. We can create our own. We've been using it at Alta Mesa to upload PDFs of the packets we've been sending home and just take it day by day, page by page, so that the kids can interact. And the students use the tools to take pictures. They can draw on it. They can record videos. They can upload the packets that they've been working on. And it keeps it all in their own little journal for a little portfolio. And it's designed to be a learning loop. So students are involved, teachers are involved, and families are involved. How many of you have a SeeSaw login already? I hope a lot of you. But if you don't, it's pretty easy to make. You'll visit SeeSaw, the website, and you can just go ahead and log in.
I just use my Google login. I just use my EESD email.
Yeah, and you can totally do that, but for setting it up, you have to kind of get started. And you can set it up through like the landing page too, but it'll think you're a student first and you'll have to reset it. So if you're just getting started, it's not loading. You'll select I'm a teacher. And then it already knows that I'm in here, so it'll pull up everything on my SeeSaw. So you log in, select I'm a teacher if you're brand new to it. Oh, these pictures. Okay. And then you can sign in with your Google. So it'll sign in with your EESD account. And it should get you set up. So the most important thing when you're creating a class is to import from Google Classroom. You don't have that option later. So you want to go ahead and do it right away so you get your kids logged in and then they're able to log in from their Clever accounts. You'll just select your class, select your grade, import your class. And then they get loaded into yours. So when they go to sign in, all they have to do is go to the landing site, find SeeSaw, and then sign in with Google. They have to be logged in with their Clever account as well for them to be able to sign in with Google. Any questions so far? You guys good?
Not yet.
Not yet? Okay. So you go ahead and the kiddos will choose their school account to log in. And some students I've noticed might need a home learning code if they're using their own device, iPads and tablets. I've noticed a couple kiddos that have had a little bit more trouble logging in this way. So if they are to need a code, this is where they type that in, or they're able to scan a code if they can't log in with their Google account. So as teachers will find these codes, there's a little button at the top of your screen that'll say Get Home Learning Codes. And I like to use the print codes. I find it a little bit easier to see where they are. So you'll have your kiddo's name up here. This is going to be their text code, and then this will be their scanning code. And you can print these out and send them to them. You can save them as a PDF and attach it to like Blooms or something if you use that. For their parents to print them. But I've only had to use the text code for probably about 3 of my 21 kids. The rest of them could log in just fine. If you're looking to change your class settings, that will be at the top right here in the wrench. And here's those home learning codes here if you weren't sure where it was on your screen. And once you're in there, SeeSaw recommends that you turn off. Students can see each other's work. I had it on for a while and my kids could comment on each other's and give each other encouraging words. But it is kind of like if a kid is doing some poor work, then you don't really want to embarrass them with that. So turning it off can be probably the best option. There's also options to include family access, enable a blog, folders, and skill options. I really haven't messed around with this very much, so I don't know if anybody else has, but I don't have a whole lot of answers for questions concerning that. I've been mostly just doing the classroom version, not really including the family version, because there is a family app that parents can download. If you need to change anything for other, like saved camera roll, video quality, you can do that here. And if you have kids that are new to your class and they haven't automatically come in through your Google Classroom, you can click this button to import recent additions. And again, it'll only work if you initially connected your class to Google Classroom. You can delete your class whenever you're finished with it. I know when I first started using SeeSaw, I deleted probably 4 classes before I figured out that, oh, I can add them via Google Classroom, and then if I do it from the beginning, I don't have to worry about typing in all their names and figuring all that out. To change your account settings, you go to this little gear over here, sharing it, contacting support, and all that good stuff. I have all 3 kindergartens connected to mine so that I can push lessons out to all of Alta Mesa kids at a time, which I don't exactly remember how I figured that out, but I could definitely look into it again. You're able to access student journals, activities, your inbox, and your skills. Adding activities is probably the most difficult part, so stop me if you're like, hey, I tried that and this happened instead, and I'll see what I can figure out. You simply click the add button, select assign an activity, even if you don't want to assign it right away. I found that that's the easiest way to create new activities or search for activities. If you're searching for activities, you're going to select community, and those will pull up pre-made activities that you can find, and you don't have to put a ton of effort into creating them yourself. However, if you want to create activities, you're going to select My Library. Even if your library is empty, that's where you're going to have the option to then create a new activity. And then anything that you've created will pop up in your library. Anything you can make folders with, like I have a folder of week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, so that it's a little bit more organized and I can find the activities that I want to quickly. To create a new activity, after you click this button, it'll pull up a page that looks like this, where you can add instructions, you can add multimedia and examples. So this is where you'd put your PDF and actually do the assignment for them to see what it's supposed to look like. And then you'll also add that same PDF to add a template for student response. So that's what they would edit right here. There are shortcut icons when typing instructions. It's really helpful to use so the kids can see, oh, look, I need to select the pencil, and it looks like this. Did somebody just chat? Sorry, I thought I heard something.
It was Mark.
Okay, we're good. I can't see your question, so I just want to make sure I'm not.
He said for us to type in questions. I think he's going to monitor it.
Perfect. Thank you. So if kids need to select the pencil, it shows them a visual instead of like them trying to read it. So those shortcut icons are linked to this slide, and I also made a little picture there. One helpful hint is to type your directions before recording your voice instructions. Then I can simply just read what I wrote, so the directions are the same being read as they are in print. And you can see click, and this little colon add will pop up the add response button, which looks like this. So the kids know, okay, I need to click that button first, and then do whatever else is needed for the activity. To make an example, you're going to pick an attachment. And so I usually use this upload, and I'll upload the PDF. You can also do photos, drawing tools. You can upload a video of yourself, a link, note. Any of those things will work. And you're going to attach the copy of the activity you want to assign. Select from computer, Google Drive. Once you have uploaded your PDF or picture or whatever you're using, mine is Map the Dog. It's a reading comprehension page. All of these tools will give you a way to interact with it. So you can add text to it, add a voice recording, add another photo, add shapes and background, move. There's a pencil, a pen, a highlighter, glow pen, eraser. Thank you. You can add another page, and then once you're all finished with it, you'd click done. Any questions about that? I know this is probably the most complicated part.
Yeah,
So Carrie,
Barbie,
I know you.
Barbie has a question. Go ahead, Barbie.
Sorry, my microphone was off. I was wondering, is it possible to create more than one class? Since I teach multiple grade levels, can I create a class for each grade level?
Yes, so when you go to import your Google Classroom, you'll just select your first class, maybe class, I don't know if you teach kinder, but you just select that particular Google Classroom. And then for the other class, you just go in and create another class and select the other classroom.
Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh.
So I have a question about the slide that you're on, Carrie.
Yeah.
So all of these add text, add voice, this is all on the teacher end when you're getting this set up. Is that correct?
Yes, so you can do it for the actual, let me go back to here. You can do it for the instruction sheet, and then I also do the same thing for student responses.
Okay.
And so for your instructions, you want to fill in like the correct answer. For example, I selected the highlighter, and I highlighted dog, I highlighted Max, and then I can't read the other one, but I think it's big and brown or something. And I highlighted that, and that was my example. And then I'd go back in for uploading the student responses. And for this particular one, I wouldn't do anything. I would just tell the kids, you're going to select the highlighter and you're going to highlight it. For other ones, if it's drag and drop, when you go into the student one, you're going to have to create those text boxes or shapes, whatever you want them to move, and just put them off to the side or something. So you'll still have to add those if you want them to have access to them. But
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
And then Tammy has a question for you.
Okay.
Hi, Carrie.
Hi.
So if I have a student who's in another class, and they're also in my RSP Google Classroom, so they're in both, and I have a SeeSaw account,
Hold on. Tammy,
you know,
you're
classroom.
cutting out, so
Okay.
I'll ask a question for you.
Okay.
Tammy's the RSP teacher, so for everybody here. So if a student is in another classroom, in another SeeSaw classroom, and also in her RSP Google Classroom, can Tammy push out work to him? Some work has shown up for me to see, but not all. Is that correct, Tammy?
Yeah, can you hear me better now at all? Some is he's done in Buffy's classroom has shown up in my feed or whatever as well. And so I want to know, can I give him assignments?
Is
That
he
makes sense.
in your RSP classroom?
Yes.
Then I would assume so, but
Okay.
that might be something that I don't know how the classrooms are all connected from tech.
Okay. Thanks.
But if he pops up, I would assume you can go to his journal. So like my kids, I can just assign, so Augustine, for example, I can assign him a different activity than any of the other kiddos in my classroom. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Thank
Okay.
you.
Yeah. All right. Any other ones, or do you want me to jump back onto it?
Go ahead and jump back on.
Okay. So this would be my teacher example, and then I would repeat the steps for student responses. For student journals, there is, get rid of that, a way to review student responses before they actually go into their journals. That way it doesn't just automatically upload if it's something, oh, I need to send that back, or, oh, I want to tell them they did a great job on that. So you'll review them. There's a way to comment and comment on student work. You can add it to folders and do all kinds of other stuff with it. When you're reviewing it, you can delete it, you can edit the people that can see it, you can print it, comment on it, and then if your student hasn't been doing very quality work, you can send it back. When I send it back, I typically like to leave a comment so they know exactly what they're fixing. Once you approve it, it will go into their journal. If you don't want it to go into their journal, you'd simply delete it. And there's also the option to approve all activities at once. So what I'll do if I have like 20 activities that were completed during the day, I'd go through and comment on them, and then I just click approve all at the end, and they go into their own journals. For more training, there's lots of resources on SeeSaw's website, so I included some links that seemed important and helpful. If you want to push out SeeSaw to your students, this is pretty much exactly what I wrote on my Blooms page. For parents to follow directions, and I just copy and pasted it, and I wanted to make that available to you because we don't want to reinvent the wheel. And if you guys have any more questions, I'm here to do what I can. I'm glad it worked this time.
It's so great. So what do you, what's been the response in getting student feedback? Like, how many of your students are getting work turned in using SeeSaw?
I have probably 10 to 12, the same amount that are logged into Google Classroom, the ones that are gonna actually do the online portion, but all of them have been working on SeeSaw.
Okay. And then, go ahead, Becca.
Well, I was just going to ask if you had any, if anybody had any information, like how this compares if you've used Google Classroom and SeeSaw or talked to colleagues. Our first grade seems to think SeeSaw is a lot easier, but I was just curious to hear if anybody else had any experiences that they could compare. Okay, just wondering.
I have not That's actually a great question. I would love to hear feedback on that as well. So Marissa, sorry, go ahead.
No, that's okay. I was just going to say I have not used both. However, I have a So I'm a combo class. So I have like 1 foot in kindergarten and 1 foot in first grade. And so our first grade team at Rother decided to use SeeSaw as well. And one of them has a daughter who is using Google Classroom. So she kind of has gotten the feel for both of them. And so she said what she thinks is that SeeSaw is more user-friendly and easier with younger grades. So like kindergarten, first grade, it's very manageable. There's lots of pictures. You can, it's pretty easy to use and you get the teacher's feedback right there. It's just a little bit more user-friendly than clicking on like exactly the line in the link and mark is done and putting in your comments and scores. And so Google Classroom seems to be really great for for older grades. However, that being said, you can use both with either, I think, but I think just the pictures and layout of SeeSaw is a little bit more geared probably towards younger grades.
Our kiddos, I think, are becoming more familiar with Google Classroom just because that's what we've been using primarily. And then SeeSaw, we're just encouraging them to try it out for this time around and see how they're doing. And all the ones that are using it, just they love it. They would rather do SeeSaw as opposed to Google Classroom, especially in kindergarten. But I would say that from a familiar standpoint, Google Classroom is more comfortable for them just because of the exposure to it. So if we can get them more exposure, I think primary grades would really benefit from SeeSaw.
Yeah, and I know like for Google Classroom, there's a lot of typing involved and our kids aren't super comfortable with that. So the drag and drop option, the recording option, those are all really friendly for our little ones.
One thing that I really love about SeeSaw too is that with my first graders, a lot of times they want to get actual writing practice. And so I've given them the option where they can write on the screen, they can type in a text box. And then I have several parents who just have them write on a piece of paper and then they post a picture of it. So it's nice to have all those tools that are really user-friendly to this age group.
I would agree with that. Yeah, I think that I like having the kids be able to read the words and read, that I can actually know that they're reading it and somebody else isn't just, helping them with it, where with classroom produce, I'm pretty sure that student hasn't done on their own.
And I have a question. Can the teacher then, maybe you already answered this, but can the teacher give video or audio response to what the students turn in?
Yeah, so that's been one of the most fun thing is you can actually hear their voices and they can hear your voice, and it's a little more personal.
One great way that is really nice to give feedback to is if you go in and you edit their assignment. If you do a recording within the assignment, you can move around items on their screen in the recording and show them that way. That's been really useful to me.
All right. My other question is, Caitlin, you seem to have used this quite a bit also. If Carrie or Caitlin, if you'd be willing, if people have questions about it when they're trying to set it up, if they could email you with any questions, if that'd be all right.
I'm happy to help.
Yeah, same here.
All right, awesome. I'll put in your emails down here.
I think Becca had something to say.
Yeah, I have a follow-up question. So for Carrie and Caitlin too, whoever. So you said if you're recording a response to a student and you move things around on their screen, so then when they play that back, it's almost like a video and an audio at the same time. That's pretty cool.
Yes, that's correct. There's multiple ways you can do it. The way that you do that kind of response is by going to their assignment, clicking the 3 dots, and you edit their assignment. You record within that. You can record just an audio comment in the comment and where it says comment and like,
Mhm.
but you only have the option to show their screen if you go to edit their assignment and do it within that.
Okay. Thank you.
And then Kristen, unless anybody else is going to talk right now, maybe Kristen, if you can talk to the use of SeeSaw from the district support perspective.
Actually, right now, SeeSaw is something that we're just testing out. It is not something that we are looking at purchasing. Actually, there's not too many programs that we're looking at purchasing next year. It's another one of those programs that are free to use, right? I believe right now, I don't know whether we actually paid for district licenses, but as of right now, we are not planning on paying for district licenses for SeeSaw for next school year. So just to keep that in mind, it's a great program, but we are not looking at purchasing it for next school year.
Do you have any idea what the cost is? I mean, I'm just thinking if we end up in this some sort of hybrid situation next year, our primary grades are pretty comfortable with SeeSaw. Do you have any idea what licensing it, how much it costs for a license? Because I could see that just being worth it as a site expense to continue it if it wasn't prohibitive.
Totally understand. And no, I have not personally done that yet.
Okay.
That is something that I have intended to do, but I have not had a chance to do that yet. But I am intending to I am looking at all of these programs that we've kind of been using lately just to see how much does it cost? Is it something that we fit it in our budget if we get rid of this program and take this one instead? SeeSaw would be one of them, Screencastify would be one of them, Kami would be one of them. All of these programs that our teachers have been using, we are looking at those, but we're just getting quotes on Kami and Screencastify. We have not done anything with SeeSaw yet.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. Awesome. Any other questions? Thank you, Carrie. Seriously, thank you for doing this.
Thank you,
definitely Carrie. A need for the district to be able to see SeeSaw, and I didn't know anything about SeeSaw, so I go to the experts. So thank you very much, Carrie. I appreciate that. Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Thank you for the
guys want to
slides.
stay around? Yeah, absolutely. If you guys want to stay and ask questions, we'll be around. But if not, thank you. We are recording this and we'll be sending this out to, I did get emails throughout this morning of people who could not attend. So we are recording it. We'll send this out to them as well. So thank you.
Tammy had a quick question.
Absolutely.
If teachers can purchase this individually.
I honestly have no idea. I have not even had a chance to actually dig into purchasing and licensing agreement for this program yet. It is on my to-do list, but I just honestly have not had a chance to. You may actually find out faster than I will.
But if
I'm hoping to by the end of the week.
Okay, but if a teacher wanted to buy it for themselves, they could purchase it if they wanted for their class individually?
I have no idea if that's even an option with them.
Okay.
Kristen, at the beginning of distance learning, I emailed SeeSaw and was communicating to them about that just out of curiosity. And I recall that they said it has to be purchased for a minimum of 100 students.
Interesting. Good to know. See, you already know more than I do on that. That's good to know. So it has to be, it sounds like then it would be a school-based decision rather than a teacher-based decision, or at least a grade level decision, K1. Yes. I agree. So that's good to know. So thank you.
No problem.
Awesome.
All right, go have fun with your SeeSaw now.